Be a big theme about a lot of things we talk about tonight and a lot of this administration is just there's no oversight. There's no following the rules. There's no following the historic norms. A new ballroom would be great. It'd be great to have a new ballroom. And, you know, I was a mayor. I built a new city hall, a new courthouse, a new police station. I had restored historic building as county executive. It's a nice idea to do something like this, but you got to follow some rules. We have to see, you know, are you actually doing this the right way?
Well,
are there some ethical questions about taking the money from people?
They would
and
come
it may not be.
I mean, that is a big ethical question. I mean, shouldn't we know who's giving the money? Shouldn't we know what business they have before the government?
Can I just finish?
Of course.
It may be a good thing. This may turn out to be a great thing. But let's just follow some process so we know that it's actually a good thing and you're not actually violating any
The president
rules.
would need to go to Congress for appropriations if he was asking for federal dollars to do this. In this case, he's not asking for federal dollars.
So there's no ethical conflicts here?
I mean, Congressman, there's ethical conflicts for everything.
But we just don't know.
Do you know who's paying for it?
We just don't know.
I agree with you.
So let's follow some basic procedures and processes.
We don't know, Congressman, so we also shouldn't assume that they exist because of your line of thinking. We don't know if there's ethical
I'm not assuming. I'm saying I'm not following the process.
What we should look at is we should talk to the attorneys. If the attorneys flag that there's some ethical conflicts, I'm sure that they'll do it.
That's not how ethics works. We have to
hold on a second. I do want to spend a moment on the ethical part of this because I think it's important. You're basically saying, well, if there's something bad, we'll find out. That seems like quite the opposite of how these things usually work. You know, there's usually an oversight process for stuff like this to prevent ethical conflicts from just slipping in the cracks. I mean, who's to say that somebody was going to self-report an ethical conflict? That's what transparency is for. And right now, there's no transparency. How do you explain that? How do you explain $300 million transferring hands and not a single person has been told who's giving that money and who's receiving
or how much?
I trust we will see that. But here's the thing. We're talking about $300 million in spending here. We're also talking about $42 billion in spending, or actually $8 billion for $42 million people that are going to be missing their SNAP benefits coming up in just a few weeks. The issues that our country faces, just like Tim said, are much bigger than this White House renovation. We're talking about a government that's been shut down for now 22 days. We did our job in the House of Representatives. We passed a continuing resolution to keep the government open. Senate Democrats need to do their job, pass that continuing resolution, get us back to work. The people in my district, in Tom's district, in your district, Sarah, I don't think they're focused about this White House renovation or what's happening in East Wing. They're worried about their jobs. They're worried about our economy. They're worried about SNAP benefits. They're worried about health care. All the things that we're not talking about when we're spending time talking about
that's a good point.
$300 million on the White House.
But I think that's perhaps to Tom Tillis's point. He's been busy, according to CNN's reporting, showing visitors 2 flat tabletop models, at times quizzing the room on which version they preferred, the smaller one or the bigger one. Most answered they wanted the bigger one, to which, of course, Trump agreed. Again, the government is shut down. SNAP benefits are getting ready to run out. That's the context. But the president is running around showing tabletop models of a massive ballroom during a time when the government's not even operating, not bringing congressional leaders to the White House to negotiate.
Well, that's right. I mean, Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer have not been in a White House meeting since this shutdown started, and instead the White House has negotiated by AI meme videos. I mean, that's not how you get to a negotiation. And before you say,
what is there to negotiate? We passed a clean continuing resolution, no partisan riders, no poison pills,
nothing. It wasn't clean, first of all.
It was the resolution that Democrats had supported in the past
In your district
previously.
alone, Jeff, in your district alone, if we do nothing about these ACA tax credits, 33,000 people are going to lose health care just in your district.
I know, which is why I'm on a bill
why
with
we
Tom
need to do
Suozzi
something.
that would extend the enhanced premium tax credits for a year. This is an issue that we need to address, but we need to do it in the context of a government that's open, not closed.
Let's just point out.
I've asked this before. I mean, you're just acknowledged, as many Republicans who've come on the show have acknowledged, that you want to, A, do something about the tax credits expiring, and that, B, you probably will. So why not just do it now and reopen the government?
Holding the government hostage over a policy issue like this is
so
not
essentially this is on principle.
And also, here's the deal. Hold on.
I mean, I get
Abby,
it.
just
The reason I'm saying that is because, look, people at home, I really think that if you're wondering if you're going to make ends meet in the next week or two, you don't really care at all about the principle. And I understand what you're saying, because trust me, I've covered a lot of these shutdowns here that, frankly, Republicans have been the holdouts on. So I get that shutdowns are absolutely terrible. We shouldn't be here.
And the Democrats
but
are
if,
the ones
but
holding
if at the end
out
of the
now.
day you guys are just going to turn around tomorrow and negotiate, how do you explain to Americans that you won't just sit down and do it now, and put aside this desire to be right?
Well, look at what I've done. I'm already on legislation. I'm committed to discussing this. Here's the thing, though. When we talk about negotiation, what did the Senate Democrats introduce? It was a 68-page piece of legislation. Do you want to know how much the enhanced premium tax credits were in those 68 pages? 1.5 pages. They're talking about, closing the government over enhanced premium tax credits, which is just a fraction of what they're demanding in the Senate. I don't think it's a realistic proposal what Democrats are doing in the Senate. How are we supposed to negotiate in a context where it's not even accurate what they're saying? It's 1.5 pages.
I've talked to a lot of Democrats and a lot of Republicans, and most people want the government reopened, and many people, I should say, on the Republican side, do want to do something about these premium tax credits that expire on January 1st, and people's premiums are going to go through the roof. And